What I'm going to be tying here is a Puterbaugh Caddis. I'm going to be tying it in black. I'm going to start off using a TMCO 100 hook in about a size 12 or 14 or 16, just depending on the size of the caddis. I think it's tied all the way down to an 18. And I'm going to begin here with 70 denier thread in color black. You could use 8/0, that would be a good substitute. And I'm just going to start up by the eye of the hook and just get my thread going. Then I'm going to cover the shank nice and even with just a light thread base. I'm going to go all the way to the bend, which is right about there, and then make some even wraps forward. And I'm going to stop about 2/3 of the way up from the back of the hook. And then I'm going to take some 2mm or 1.5mm foam, thin fly foam, and I'm going to cut out a little small section, kind of square, more of a square piece, just like that. And I'm going to lay this on the hook. I'm going to keep it just barely longer than the shank of the hook, or the bend of the hook there. I'm going to pinch it down, and for my first couple of wraps are going to be fairly loose. And then after that I can kind of tighten down and bite down on that foam. If I don't do those loose wraps at first, the foam will like to roll from side to side. Now what I'm going to do is just kind of go forward with the foam a little bit. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make the head an even thickness. If I didn't take that foam forward, the head would be not an even thickness, and that would become a problem later on in the fly. Just kind of clean it all up, make it nice and even, just like that. Next step, I'm going to take some elk or some deer hair, and I'm going to cut out a chunk that's about half the diameter of a pencil, maybe. Just kind of eyeball it. You definitely don't want to go too crazy here. You can definitely overdo it with this hair. And I actually do stack the hair. I like the tips to be nice and even. So I'm just going to drop it here in my hair stacker. Give it a quick stack so all the tips are fairly even, just like so. It doesn't have to be perfect. Now I'm just going to lay that hair in. I'm going to have it just barely longer than the foam. Now I'm also going to do a couple of loose wraps first. Maybe 3 loose wraps, and then I'm going to bite down on it. Now once I've done that, I'm going to take a clump and bite down underneath it with my thread, and then kind of take another clump, bite down. I'm just going to work my way forward, and what that does is it keeps the hair from rolling from side to side with those extra wraps. Then I'm going to cut it at somewhat of an angle. The reason I do this is, again, to keep that head nice and even. That when I wrap my hackle, it's not bumpy, it'll be even. It'll make your life much, much easier. I kind of pluck out any strays. And just maybe clean it up a little more. Alright, and once I have it to where I'm happy, I'm going to take a couple pieces of brown hackle. And for this one I'm going to be using 2 pieces of hackle. This is a larger one. This is like a 12 or so. So I use a couple hackles just because I have more to cover. I just kind of measure them out, make sure they're about the right length. I want the hackle barbs to just kind of barely be as long as from the eye or the shank all the way down to the tip of the hook. That's close enough. Then I'm going to strip out the stems. Piece of the stem, that'll give me something to tie into. I'm going to tie those in, just like so. Bring my thread up to the eye. Now when I wrap these, I want each wrap to be right up against each other. Nice even wraps. Just covering that thread with each wrap. And I'm going to capture it. Get in there as close as I can with my scissors. And sometimes you miss a few. Gotta be careful not to cut your thread. And I'm just gonna kind of clean up this head a little bit. And sometimes you trap some more. I just clip them out of the way. See, there we go. Alright. Next, you're just gonna whip finish it, clean it all up. Whip finisher has a bunch of stuff on it. Looks like there we go. And that's your Puterbaugh. And what you can do is, once you're done, take a small piece of, or a small amount of head cement or a little bit of super glue, and I'll just put a little bit on that thread behind the foam, or underneath the foam, and I'll kind of just push that piece of foam back and glue it to that piece of thread, just like so. And what that'll do is keep that little body, let me adjust it here, so it'll keep that body from coming up and riding up. There we go. And that's your Puterbaugh Caddis, one of my favorite flies. The neat thing about this fly is it can be tied in black, which is my favorite. You can tie it in olive, you can tie it in yellow, you can tie it in tan, you can tie it in orange, you can tie it in any of those colors to imitate anything from a stone to a caddis to whatever you want to imitate. So yeah, there's your Puterbaugh Caddis fly.